Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Just to Kick It Is a Blessing podcast with your host, Keith Tupac Gatiramu. Thank you so much for coming in today and just tuning with me, vibing with me, and coming to learn something, get educated, get inspired. Today is a very, very special episode. I have a very good friend of mine in studio with me today. And without further ado, I will let him introduce himself.
What's up, guys? My name is Aqib Assaria. I'm 24. What do I do? I create digital content, amongst other things. But yeah, like Tupac said, we're good friends. We've been friends for a while.
Yeah.
We went to
The same.
we went to the same end of primary school, beginning of high school is when I joined. So we've been friends since then. Like we've known each other for like 15 years.
Yeah.
Something like that. But yeah, we have an interesting topic. Something we both grew up experiencing.
Yeah, so when I reached out to Aqib and I told him I had this idea of a concept that I wanted to share, he was open about it. And so today we want to just discuss around religion and mental health, And to dive into the first question is, before we even dive into the topic, we just want to look at a bit of differences between maybe how you were brought up and how I was brought up, considering you're brought up in...
I was brought up Muslim, you're brought up Christian.
Yeah. So I just wanted to look a bit at, some of those differences and just to try and understand and, build onto the story. And just for the people listening, this is opinion-based and the conversation is also open to everyone out there to come and share their opinions on the topic. We're not professionals here. So yeah, but I hope you enjoy the topic and I hope you learn something.
We definitely don't know everything, but
we've tried.
We're fairly educated.
We're
fairly educated.
Yeah.
So we'll just try and keep this as educational and intellectual as possible. We won't get too emotional about the situation, which is hard to do when religion and mental health is involved, but we'll try.
Yeah, and to bring me to my first question is, when you look at it, in your opinion as well, do you think you guys are raised more strictly than us guys?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think definitely, especially because so growing up, even you can say that the Muslims in our class and the Christians in our class were raised very differently, worlds apart.
Yeah.
You guys were given, I'm being so general here, but you guys were given more freedoms to go out, socialize. There wasn't as much restriction on who you can socialize with. While on the other hand, like if you think about the girls in our class, they weren't allowed to socialize with the guys too much.
Yeah.
There was very many restrictions in that regard.
Yeah.
So depends on in what aspect you're talking about and how you're talking about it, but in some aspects, yes, we were raised more strictly, and then in other aspects, you guys were. So it depends. And generally, yes, I would say definitely we were raised. A bit more strictly.
To be honest, even when I look at it, and that's why I say this is opinion based. Is I think like when I look at it, and I look like you guys were actually raised more strictly. But it might be different for other people. But when I look at the general picture and growing up in a Muslim school for 11 years, I feel like Muslims were raised a bit more strictly than we are. Like, and not just even by family, even in regards to society. Like for people who don't know, or for people out there, that Jaffrey's was a mixed school, but it wasn't mixed.
It wasn't mixed. It was mixed, but it wasn't at mixed. The same time.
Yeah,
it wasn't. And I never understood how they managed to do that and why they did it the way they did it. Because we would be separated up until you're 9.
Yeah.
Then now when you're old enough to start being interested in girls and your hormones are kicking in, is when now they throw you guys together and you have zero experience whatsoever. You've never, not never, but like you have barely any experience talking to girls. You're awkward as hell, and now you've just been thrown in the deep end and you're supposed to have all this control over yourself.
No, like even when I look at it and when I remember it, is like even when the classes were mixed, there was still division.
Exactly,
You know?
like the girls used to sit on one side and the guys on one
Yeah,
side.
you know.
And then there was like 5 or 6 people who used to sit in the middle. And then that would now be those guys who are comfortable with each other. They've
and
been friends for time.
Yeah, and no cap, like even when you looked at the guys who like were quickest to mingle in the class, they were still Christians.
Actually, yeah, you're
And,
right.
you
You're
know,
right. Yeah,
when you looked at
because y'all had experience outside of school as well.
yeah.
So like when you go outside of school, when you're interacting like at church or whatever, you're not being like separated
Yeah.
from the girls.
No.
Even like in your home environment, you're not separated from the girls. In a Muslim household, everything is separate. Like if you're having like a get together with like say families and friends and all, it's separated.
Yeah.
Like the guys will sit on one side and the women will sit on one side.
Yeah.
They don't mingle. So growing up, there's always that separation. So in your head, you're like, that's all you know.
Yeah.
And going into class now, when you're thrown into that, you sit in your comfort zone with all your friends on the side. And then the girls do the same thing because that's how they're raised.
And you've talked about that separation, yeah? So, and this is now what brings me to my next point is, you've talked about separation, yet when I look at it, I feel like, do you guys think you're quicker to get responsibilities, like marriage and kids?
That's actually very interesting because, yeah, you'll get into like marriage and kids earlier, but that's because they don't want you to. So the idea behind it is you're not supposed to have like intercourse before marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the older you get, the harder it is to abstain.
Yeah.
Okay, because you've been holding out for so long, you can only hold out for so much longer.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So when you get to that point where you're like, hey, I can't do it anymore. So instead of like sinning and going and sleeping outside marriage,
Yeah.
you're encouraged to get married and just do it with your wife. So
Yeah.
that's why you see guys like Muslim guys getting married younger, is to avoid that stepping out.
But do you think that and I asked this to my previous guest, is do you think the fact that responsibilities come at a very young age, it forces you to, you know,
Grow up quickly. I guess so. And I guess maybe that's why of late I've personally been hearing about a lot more like divorce and separation, because you jump into this relationship, a lot of the times it's arranged.
Yeah.
You don't know this person. You've jumped into it solely because like you have it's a physical contract at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've jumped into it. I'm not taking away from anything here. Please, guys, I really want you all to understand that there's arranged marriages out there that work, and props to you guys. But you've jumped into this forever contract with someone.
Yeah.
You don't know them.
Yeah.
The first bump, the first like obstacle you hit, it's over.
Yeah.
Guys don't want to push past it. Guys don't want to work on that. And just the small obstacles, you just end it there. We're a generation that wants it easy.
Okay. Now that you've raised that point, it's weird that the other day I sat with like 2 of our high school friends as well, and I don't know why we ended up talking about marriage, and I asked them now, because for me, I've been really interested in, you know, mental health, gender, religion, just working even on a book about it. And one of the things I asked them about it was, why do you guys think you experience less divorces, but you've brought in a part of divorce? So what's your opinion on that?
Okay, so why would be the stigma attached to it?
Yeah.
It's so bad and it's so negative to get a divorce. There was a period of time I remember, well, not personally remember, but I know there's like from stories and just like being told by my parents and all, that a woman who got divorced would struggle to get married again because she would be seen as, I hate using this word, but defective, like she had a problem.
Wow.
That's why she got divorced, because it would never be the guy's fault.
Yeah.
It would never be the guy's fault, because there's this pedestal that like men are put on.
Mm-hmm.
And so it would never be the guy's fault. So if it ended in divorce, for the woman to get remarried would be such a struggle.
Yeah.
And because of that, the woman would just push through and like take whatever she was taking, which is so sad. Like she would just have to deal with whatever she was dealing with and move on, because she knew that's all she had. And because they get married so young, like the guy will have a job, He'll be like 21, he has a job. 22, he has a job. The girl is like 18. She's just finished high school. Like, and then the man is like, okay, I'll provide for the house, you take care of the home. So she has no job. She has no source of income. She has zero experience. If she's on her own, where is she going?
Yeah.
Like, what is she doing? Fair enough, she can go back to her parents' house. But that's not an option for everyone. Some people just, that's not an option. And if that's not an option, what do? You have to stick it through. And I feel like that's why divorce was such a, like it wasn't a big thing, but now it's more prevalent because power to women, bro.
Yeah.
Power to women.
Yeah. Well, no. Like, okay, now that you've brought women into the aspect, let me even drift away a bit from the conversation. Is, do you think that women are over empowered and that's affecting men?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a very dangerous road you're taking us down.
No. I have to ask everything, though.
That's a very dangerous road you're taking us down because no, women are not too empowered. I don't think there's such a thing as too much empowerment.
Yeah.
Especially for a group of people that's been pushed down for so long.
Yeah.
So, I think, again, it goes back to the same thing. Not that they should put up with anything. Guys, please don't get me wrong here. But like I said earlier, we're a generation that wants things easy. Yeah. If things start to get difficult, we up and leave.
Yeah.
If you look at like our parents, they've been together for so long. They've had their problems for sure.
Yeah.
They've had their ups and downs, obviously. But they've pushed through, and they are where they are today. Mm. For us, our generation, I don't think we're capable, not all of us are capable of pushing through and dealing with as many ups and downs as previous generations. Because, to be honest, we don't want the stress.
Yeah.
Guys just don't want to deal with it. It's like as long as if it's not benefiting me, if it's giving me a little bit of upset, it's making me a little bit.
Yeah.
It's stressing me, kidogo. It's over. And I both respect and don't respect that at the same time.
Okay, why?
I respect it because power to you, don't let anything put you down ever. Squash that. But at the same time, some things are worth fighting for.
Yeah.
And you have to fight for some things. Otherwise, you'll have nothing that you strongly believe in. You'll just be swaying with the wind every day.
And you brought in an important point because I think we've become actually the generation for, it's rather to get something new than to fix it.
You know,
even when you break your phone, sometimes like, you're doing that cost-benefit analysis.
Should I just buy a new phone instead of fixing the screen?
Yeah. But and like you said, there's actually things that are worth fighting for. But to get me to my next question is, do you think that as Muslims you are more communal, and that's what's protected your well-being and sanity?
So now you're bringing in the aspect of like mental health and community.
Yes.
Yes, I think we're more communal.
Yeah.
I don't know about it protecting well-being and sanity.
Yeah.
But to be communal, yeah, definitely. Like Muslims in general, they have this sense of togetherness and they do everything together.
Yeah.
Which is great, which I admire so much. But when that happens and when everything is so tight-knit and everybody is so close, the aspect of sanity and well-being, yes, you always have someone to go to. You always have someone to talk to about things. There's always people looking out for you. So there's that benefit. So that's always a plus. So yeah, you could be right about that in that regard. But to look at the negative side of things, everybody knows your business.
Yeah. Okay, true.
Everybody knows your business.
Yeah.
When everybody is so close like that and everybody is just around you like that, everybody knows your business, man. It's so hard to keep like your life private.
Yeah.
The moment something happens, you tell one guy, that guy tells one guy, everybody knows.
The whole
community knows. Like you remember the way stories used to spread in school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
the way stories used to spread in school. Now imagine stories spreading like that, but you're an adult.
Okay. Yeah.
You're an adult. Then you have all these other things to deal with. So now that's where image comes in. That's where stigma comes in. So you can't let people know this is happening to you. You can't let people know that is happening to you because how will they look at you? How are people going to start treating you?
Yeah.
There's that. Like, so now if you start, say, for example, you start going to therapy, people find out you're going to therapy. The older people in the generation start looking at you like you're crazy.
Yeah.
Like there's something wrong with you. But in actuality, therapy is just like I heard something the other day. Therapy is maintenance. It's like you brush your teeth, yeah, to keep your teeth healthy and clean.
Yeah.
Therapy is like that for your brain.
For your mind, yeah.
Yeah. So therapy is so good to do. Imagine guys go to therapy. Even if you're not going through anything, just go to therapy. It's so important. I recently got back into therapy, which has been really good.
How's it been?
It's really good, man.
Yeah,
I think it's one of the better decisions I've made.
Yeah. What change have you seen in your life?
So I've not yet been in therapy long enough for anything to have changed yet, but I just feel like a weight has been like lifted off me slightly.
Yeah.
Because there was so much I was bottling up that I wasn't talking about really. And it's nice to have someone to talk to.
Yeah.
Someone like zero judgment. Someone doesn't know anything anything
about you.
Not about me, because they know everything about me
you,
basically. But someone who has no preconceptions of me.
Yeah.
Someone who doesn't expect me to be anyway. Someone who's just allowing me to be that person in that moment.
Yeah.
And helping me become a better person going forward. So I've lost my train of thought. So yeah, people see you doing things like that and they see you a certain way.
Yeah.
So in that regard, you have to have this image and you have to maintain this perfect persona in front of the world, in front of your community, when in actuality, everything in your life can be going to shit.
Yeah.
Everything can be all kinds of messed up. But you have to keep up this image because what will people think?
Yeah.
But different communities look at that differently as well. So not the positive side of that is if you're going through it, like if say you're going through it financially or whatever, there's communities out there that bring you up.
Yeah.
Like you've lost your job, you don't have a source of income right now, someone will give you a job. Someone in the community will say, listen, here, take this job, I'm hiring you. Even if you're not qualified for the job, solely because you're a community member and you need the job, you'll get the job.
Yeah.
So it definitely has its
ups and downs.
It's ups, but it also has its negative side.
Yeah. When I, like I told you, I've been really doing a lot of research around now that even community and the role it plays in mental health. And, like as much as we're social beings and as much as we've become the generation that's so connected, we're also the generation that's so alone.
Yeah, definitely.
And when I looked at it, like for you guys, like when I looked at it, or even when I was in Jaffrey's, like, I'd find like this guy is staying with his cousins, like this guy is staying with his what, there was like never a part where someone was like very rarely or very few families would you say they just stay mom, dad, and siblings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually.
I'd hear like this guy stays with the mom, the second mom, the third mom, and like 50 siblings. Like, okay, but you get what I'm saying.
The grandparents.
You see.
Or the aunts and uncles live next door in the like adjoining house.
Yeah. And, like it brought me to the sense for the fact that when you're alone sometimes means that, you're so focused on what's going wrong.
Yeah.
And especially because you're on your phone.
Yeah.
When I looked at it is even for entertaining, these days we're entertained, ourselves, but when I look at you guys, like even if you're staying together, it means there's even certain bad things that you can't do, because in the perception that you're together,
everyone
you're maybe sharing
around.
a room or even the next room is just there that whatever you're doing would be hard. You get, I
get what you mean.
You get what I'm saying?
I get what you mean.
Yeah.
But you see, okay, so that's how we grew up.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you a question, like from your perception.
Yeah.
You might not have thought about it, but is that a question of religion or culture?
It's, I think, more of culture. I think
it's cultural.
Yeah.
Because if you look at even Hindus, Indian Hindus, they live in big families.
Yeah.
Okay. Indian Christians also live in big families like that. But if you look at African Muslims, they don't live in big families like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Barring the ones who have cultural like affiliations with the Arab world, like Somalia and those sides.
Yeah.
Like if you look at a born Kenyan, native Kenyan who is Muslim, it'll be the same family dynamic as a native Christian that family life of being a big family is cultural. It's not really religious.
Yeah.
But I see where you bring in that aspect of being alone.
Yeah.
Because you imagine you can be in that house of 20 people and feel alone.
Okay, true.
You can be in that house of 20 people and you can feel alone.
Yeah.
Because you don't feel attached to any of those people.
Wow.
And then you can be in that house of like you, your two brothers, and your mom and dad, 5 people, and there's always a sense of like at homeness and that sense of, I don't know how to put it, but you get what I mean. Yeah.
Someone said you can build a house but not a home.
Exactly. Yeah.
But bro, I'm actually glad that you're having this because it's opening my eyes, to a lot of misconceptions I had and to different ways of seeing things.
Yeah.
But like also like to bring in the community aspect is the other day I had lunch with one of my friends from Jaffrey's, and when we sat down and like the kind of conversation that was going on, and everything and what and and I was surprised that the dad told me, we do this every Sunday, Tupac, so you're welcome.
Yeah.
And for me, when I look at it, the only time we probably sit down and set the dinner table is on special occasions.
Yeah, like holidays, like
Christmas, Easter, those kind of things,
Yeah.
But and on top of that, in this house, this guy was staying with 2 of his cousins. I was like, wow, like,
yeah.
There's that.
So again, that sense of just bring everybody.
And even when the dad, he sits at the head. I realize now why the dad sits at the head of the table because he's in space to ask everyone on the table a question, and look at them straight in the eyes.
He's in control.
You get?
He's in control,
and that's how it was. Like there was multiple questions happening, around.
Yeah.
And I was like, when you're actually asking someone about their day and things like that,
and you actually genuinely want to know.
To know.
Yeah. So I think again that's family values on like a singular level and a cultural level, not on a religious level. It just so happens that majority of Muslims around the world fall into the cultures where family is important like that. I'm not saying there's cultures where family isn't important.
Yeah.
But there's some that place higher value on family, on bringing like extended family and the bigger family together. Like the Arab culture does that massive. Like if you think about all our like Omani friends and all our Arab friends, that's how they look at life. Like I have like friends from Jaffrey's, they have lunch together Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
They have to have a family lunch together. I'm not too sure about Sunday, but Friday, Saturday, I know every Friday, Saturday, they have to have family lunch together. So Friday, they'll leave work, they go for prayers. After prayers, they all go home. They have lunch and then they go back to work.
Yeah.
Yeah? You just have to have that family lunch, like that importance of family and bringing togetherness. When you don't lose those traditions, I feel like that's where when you have those traditions is where you don't lose those family values.
Yeah.
So...
And now you see that also brings me to the point is, do you think on one side of the things is we're losing more family values? Because even if you ask me, it's only until recently where we had to do a signed agreement as a family to start having dinner
together
on Mondays on the table.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I had dinner with the whole family. Yeah, yet we can find these days we're all at home, but everyone is eating dinner on one side of the house.
For real?
Yeah.
See, now personally to me, that's like a foreign concept.
You see, yeah?
Because more often than not, so we have dinner at a fixed time in our house.
No,
every day.
We had to sign it. It's not a joke though.
It's like an unwritten rule in our house. Yeah. Every day is 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's dinner time. So you'll see 6:50, 6:55. Even if guys are in their room, like if someone has had a long day, they're chilling in their room for a bit after work. 6:50, 6:55. We all just appear in the living room.
Yeah.
And then a few minutes later, we don't even sit on the table every day. I'll be lying to you if I tell you that.
Yeah.
The only time we consistently sit on the dining table throughout is Ramadan.
Yeah.
Ramadan for 30 days, we're on the dining table. Otherwise, everybody has their plate and we all sit in the living room.
Yeah.
But we're all sitting like at the same time, considering like whoever is home.
Yeah.
If you're not home, sour, you can eat when you get home. But majority of the time, whoever is home, 7 p.m., dinner time.
Wow.
So even like when I go to someone's house, and then we're having dinner at like 9. It's such a foreign concept to me. It's such a strange feeling having dinner so late, because I'm like, now when will the food digest? And like, what's going on?
Yeah.
It's just strange. So like 7 o'clock, if I eat dinner after if I don't eat dinner by like 7:30, I don't eat dinner that day.
Wow.
It's very weird, but yeah.
And now I wanted to ask you as well is, I know things have changed and everything, but the fact that Muslims avoid consuming alcohol,
yeah.
And that was even one thing I noticed in Jaffrey's, like they do anything, but pork and alcohol are off the table.
Like those are the haram.
Those are haram, like everything else is okay.
The other sins are okay sins, but those two are like
And do you think the lack of the consumption of alcohol has made you guys like better? Like, for me, I've realized, I was reading about alcohol and I realized it's a depressant.
It is.
Yeah. And now the more you consume it, especially in a bad state of mind, the worse it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, even like some days I've noticed like I can get to, and then I realize I've said shit that I've been bottling. I'm like, oh my God,
why am I talking about this? I don't know. I've never actually thought about the correlation between like your well-being and alcohol.
Yeah.
But it could be. It could be a factor. I just know that I know Islam in general is very like well-being centric, and so mental health, like mental well-being, physical well-being, spiritual well-being, it's all like at the forefront, because if those things are not where they should be, your life in general won't be where it can be, So I was reading about, let me even see if I can find it. I was reading it just now before we got in here. So so Islam views anything that's strictly detrimental to one's spiritual journey as sinful.
Yeah.
So if anything puts you off your path of spirituality, which alcohol would.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to be, because you think about it, you have to pray 5 times a day.
Yeah.
You go out the whole night. How are you praying that 5 a.m. prayer?
Yeah, true.
How are you praying that prayer at dawn?
But then, bro, I know people who actually used to make it home for 5 a.m. prayer, bro.
Yeah, but then are they praying it in a state where they're coherent?
Okay, that's true.
And they're actually like committed to that prayer.
Yeah.
Because everything's about like, one, it's about intention, and one, it's about like the purity of how you're committed, like how you're like undertaking that act.
Yeah.
So if you're doing it for the sake of doing it. So I remember a thing we were told as kids was, God doesn't need your prayers.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
He's God for a reason.
Yeah.
So you praying is beneficial to you, not to him.
Okay, true.
Okay? So when you're going through the prayers as an act of just going through the prayers, just to get it done, you've not really done what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
You've not really benefited yourself anyway. So why do it? Do it with the intention of, do it with the right intentions, do it with like the right state of mind, and it'll benefit you then.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can, I think you're right, yeah, definitely alcohol, because you get more stuff done. You have more time of day. Because if you're not spending that time drinking, you're either sleeping, because guys are drinking all night, you're either sleeping, or guys are day drinking, you're doing something more productive maybe. Or maybe if you're not even drinking, you're just chilling with your friends, but when you get home, it's a full night of sleep, like it's a full sober night of sleep.
Yeah.
There's
something you had said that a lot of people are encouraged into early marriages to avoid having sex, and that, like, I think we become a society that puts so, much pleasure in, having sex, like, for me personally, I used to think the coolest guy was the guy who had the most dames alive.
Yeah.
Like, no cap, man. When I was young, bro, I was like...
But we all thought that. The guy who was pulling the most babes was the coolest guy. We all thought that at some point.
Yeah.
But
and now to my question is, do you think because of... And I don't know if this is true or what. So I said this conversation is open for discussion, And this is something I casually used to hear in Jeffries, is that when people get married, the first time they have sex is on a white sheet to know if the girl's a virgin or not. So,
Whoa.
I don't know how true
Whoa.
that is.
First of all,
Yeah.
seriously, that's something you actually used to hear.
I had that in Jaffrey's. No.
Okay. Damn.
Yeah.
Personally, I've never heard that.
Yeah.
You sent me that question.
Yeah.
And it's even now you saying it now, I'm still shocked because I looked online, I looked everywhere.
Yeah.
I couldn't find anything about it.
Yeah.
So, but I understand like the logic, not logic, but I understand the conception behind it of why you would have. But again, that's not religious.
Yeah. Or it could be cultural.
That's cultural.
Okay.
That falls into the same cultural belief, which is so backward and so. I'm sorry to say this, but it is.
Yeah.
If I'm offending you, I apologize. But these are my views.
Yeah.
It's a very backward like mentality to have that your wife has to have her hymen intact because that's what that bleeding at when you have sex the first time, it's her hymen being intact.
Yeah.
And that can like be broken by anything. Do you know she can break it riding a bicycle?
Yeah. Even a horse I had.
Yeah, riding a horse, riding a bicycle, just doing everyday tasks.
Yeah.
That can and like how silly is it for you to expect that?
Yeah.
And I was actually reading an article yesterday, totally separate from like the research I was doing, but a separate article yesterday about this girl who she underwent FGM. Like her parents stitched her up and took off her clitoris when she turned 12. A few years later, she gets married and she's still stitched up. And this was just to prevent her from having sex or having sexual urges before marriage. So they stitched her up. She got married to this guy. They've met for the first time on their wedding day. Fast forward to the wedding night. He gets her to undress. And he sees she's stitched and that's something he's pleased with. That's something he's happy about. He starts like caressing her and then he tells her, he goes and gets a razor blade. And she's begging him. She's like, please, let's go to the hospital. Let's get this opened in the hospital. He's like, you expect me to go to the hospital, take my wife to see some random man and let that random man see her vagina?
What?
So she was fighting him not to not to cut it with the razor blade. And he was saying, now we're doing this now. He went and called his brothers and his mother to come and hold her down. To hold her down so that they could cut the stitches open. And all the while, everybody who's there is laughing at her. She's covered in blood, like she's bleeding at this point because he's cut her, he's done all sorts of things. And he still went ahead and had his way with her that night.
Yeah.
And just because they're married, it's supposed to be okay. That cultural belief is so backward in my mind.
Yeah.
Marital rape is a thing.
Yeah.
And more people need to be aware of it. Like more people need to talk about it. And I love that like more people are coming out with it and are talking about it. Like 5 years ago, this woman would never have been able to come out with her story.
Yeah.
And she's probably still a teenager at this point. I don't remember how old she was because this story like came out yesterday.
Yeah.
It's so backward. And the same thing, that story for the white sheets.
Yeah.
It's, in my opinion, the same mentality. It's not as intense and as brutal and as like inhumane, but it's the same mentality of you expect women to be a certain way and you force them to be a certain way when that certain way is not practical.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. But again, it's not religious because I know Islam does condone staying away from like abstaining till marriage, but it does not condone any of these other things.
Yeah. I think also, I think majority of religions, what they agree on is sex before marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you look at it, and it's because like I think we fail to realize the power of sex. Do you know how powerful it must be to create another human being?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's become this casual thing that, you know, guys look for after a night out, you know. And I always say, like, you know, when you're having that thing, is there's so much energy exchanged, and if you're not careful with the energy you exchange, you know, it can confuse you.
You're letting someone into your,
You know, yeah.
like,
And they say,
innermost space.
they say every person that you finesse, you get a part of them and you leave a part of you in them. You know, me personally, that's what I believe, you know. Yeah.
Sorry, my mind wandered.
You know, yeah, but me personally, that's what, you know, like,
Yeah.
I believe. But, you know, we become this, like, finesse.
Yeah.
Like, I even remember, like, people even nowadays are like, yo, I can't even remember my body count, you know, and those kind of things, you know, they scare me. And, like, no, like, I ain't being judgmental or anything.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, I think, like, the older I've grown, is the more I've
The more
realized,
respect
like,
you've put on
to it.
sex, yeah.
Like, you know, I've, like, it's not a joke, you know.
But that's with everything, yeah. You're taught things as a kid. You're like, what do they know? What do they know? What do they know? And you get older, you're like, okay, maybe they were right.
Yeah.
The older you get, the more you realize things. Like, you know, when you're a kid, you have a certain friend, and your parents are like, no, you're not allowed to hang out with him. Don't hang out with him. He's not a good influence. And as you get older, you start to realize why they said those things.
Yeah, true.
Maybe it's the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, maybe it's the same thing. We were told not to do it, and us being us, you know, being us stubborn kids.
Yeah.
We're like, no, man, want.
Yeah.
I know and I want.
Yeah.
Yeah. But just because you know and you want doesn't mean it's good for you.
You know, yeah. Because I say, like, you know, your energy is crazy, and, you know, once you start playing around with it, you know.
That's a topic we need to get into.
Energy.
Yeah.
Well,
That's a whole different.
That's
a whole other episode.
Yeah, protect your energy. But yeah, and for you personally, have you ever been embarrassed being a Muslim? Or have you ever thought it wasn't cool to be one?
No.
In your honest opinion.
No, Muslim, no. I remember though growing up, the sect, like being Shia and Sunni.
Yeah.
That was weird to me.
Yeah.
I remember very vividly one instance. So before I joined Jaffrey's, I was in like a public school.
Yeah.
And we had like religious classes.
Yeah.
But the religious classes, even in Jaffrey's, they were not separated between Sunni and Shia. Everybody was together.
Yeah.
But in Jaffrey's, they realized because it was a Muslim school, they knew what to teach and what not to teach.
Yeah.
And they had that awareness because Jaffrey's as a community is a Shia community, but majority of the people were Sunni.
Yeah.
And they had to find a way to integrate those two.
Yeah.
And I feel like they did a pretty good job. But so when I was younger, so let's say class 4.
Yeah.
It was lunchtime, it was Ramadan, and we were in the prayer room of the school. So that's where, because it's lunchtime, you don't want the kids to be tempted outside eating. So we were all the Muslim kids were in the prayer room. We'd pray together and then we'd go to class after. So I remember I was told to give like the call to prayer. And our call to prayer for Shias and the Sunni call to prayer is different. Very slight difference.
Yeah.
But it's different. So I gave the call to prayer. And I remember when it got to that bit that was different, I said what I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I got laughed at.
Yeah.
All the kids in the room laughed at me.
Yeah.
And I was like, when I finished, I was standing there. I sat there embarrassed. I remember feeling so ashamed.
Yeah.
Because all they were making fun of me was, he doesn't know. Like, look, these kids know. So now there's like kids in class 2, class 1. They know.
Shit.
Me, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know? So I remember feeling so horrible. And it was not because of being Muslim, but it was because of being the kind of Muslim that I was.
Yeah.
And it wasn't my fault.
Well, what you're taught?
For me, what I did was right. But there was that embarrassment. And it's not even because of those kids. It's not their fault. They're kids. Those things are the funniest thing. Like, those are the things that kids do.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff kids do. But it's the fact that there are those major differences inside the religion that personally don't sit well with me.
Yeah.
But they exist, and yeah.
It's interesting. I'd actually like to hear a lot more views on that because, wow, I think for me and based on actually also what I've seen is like, like, and that's what I learned, like, as Christians, people were not really open about, they thought it was not looking cool, starting with me. Like, no cap, man. Like, like, sometimes we just sit in the back of church, like a group of like 20, 30 people, and the pastor will be like, hey, we know those guys, they don't want a dance club, yeah. But I think, like you said, the older I've gotten, like, the other day I went to church with Jessa, and like, bro, like, like, I was like, wow, like, you feel something, you feel something more than yeah.
Yeah, it's a different experience.
I even listened to a gospel playlist. I was like, it brought so much like nostalgia, yeah,
like just warmth into you.
Yeah, but you like, I thought I was even gonna cry at some of those songs, but I actually feel like, like
I know exactly what you mean. And there's a friend of mine who always tells me the same thing.
Yeah,
at least once a week he repeats that everything needs perspective.
Yeah,
everything in life needs perspective.
Yeah,
as long different perspectives on different things will give you a whole new outlook on something. You'll go through one thing today, you'll go through the same thing in 5 years, but in 5 years you'll see it differently than you saw it today. One, because you've experienced it already, so like you have perspective, and also over those 5 years you've gained so many different things, like, so to say. So everything's about perspective.
That's a crazy point, man. Like, no, it's gonna change. I look at a lot of things. Yeah, but then, like, now to bring me to my next question, I wanted to ask you is, what does the Quran say about mental health and, around that topic? And is there anything that the Quran highlights that we can learn from and implement in our lives? Okay,
so quoting the Quran is, for me personally, I can't do right now. Because I can't quote the Quran.
I can't quote some things for you. Same WhatsApp group.
But the general idea behind it is what I said earlier. It's all about like your well-being in all aspects of your life.
Yeah.
So I know there's places where it says that all despair that you're feeling will be lifted. Yeah. God won't test you with anything He knows you can't overcome. Things like that, which I know is similar in Christianity. Like, you won't be given a test you can't surpass. Yeah, you can't overcome. Same thing.
There's actually a verse about that.
Yeah, there's a verse in the Quran as well about it. I can't quote it.
Yeah, even I can't quote it. But then it's what people have now changed to say the thing for God does not give battle. I know it's 1 Corinthians something.
Yeah.
But it's it says God does not give you battles you can't overcome, and in the one that also guys have interpreted to say God gives his toughest soldiers
toughest tasks. Yeah.
Now those those kind of things.
I've heard that one as well.
Yeah.
Like,
and for me, and I look at it, and maybe it can open some perspective to use. When I looked around like the topic, one of the things that I saw in the Quran was they say Allah tests us with fear or something like that. I'll look for it and I'll send it to you. And and it's the same thing. Now that we've talked about the battles and everything, when I look at it, like, there's nothing smooth, yes? And that's one thing I think from both the Bible and a bit of learning from Jeffries and the Quran of Sin is there'll be a lot of hardships. No one is immune to struggle. Yeah, and if you look at it, even Jesus Christ himself was the Son of God.
Went through struggle.
For those who believe in Christianity and whatever, he went through struggle. Yeah, for you guys, I know there's maybe
we believe he went through the same struggles that you guys believe he went through.
Yeah,
it's just
there's a difference.
No, the stories are the same.
Yeah,
the only difference in what we believe about Jesus is Christians believe he's the Son of God.
Yeah.
We don't believe God can be equated to having children.
Yes.
So we believe he was just a prophet of God. Not just, but he was a prophet of God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we believe he was a prophet of God the same way Moses and Muhammad and Abraham were all prophets of God.
Yeah.
That same way we believe Jesus was a prophet of God as well. So he came down with the message, and he came down with a certain mission. And to carry out that mission, he had to go through certain hardships to overcome them and prove himself, quote unquote, to the people. So, yeah.
No one's immune, though. Yeah.
Exactly. Like you said, no one's immune. But that whole idea of having to go through hard things and having to go through obstacles and get past obstacles. We talked about it earlier as well, like we're the generation that wants things easy.
Yeah.
But that brings me to something that we had talked about as well. Do you think we're the impatient generation?
Wow, for sure. I think we're the impatient generation, yeah. And for me, first of all, I'll even now start by, like when I looked at it, like a lot of good things take time, yeah. But because these days, in 5 minutes, you can get an Uber. In another 10 minutes, you can get food.
Convenience. Everybody's chasing convenience.
You get, yeah. In another 1 minute, I can send money across the world.
Yeah.
Like, things have become so quick, like, and, like, my dad was even, like, telling me, like, back in his times, like, if you had to write a letter to your shore, you had to wait for like
a week
or
for
2 weeks
it to get to her,
there,
and then a week for it to come back.
Yeah. So even when she broke up with you,
you didn't know.
You received the after a week. So it's not so instant.
And then,
you have to go and ask her why. Why?
You asked for her back.
So it's taken another week, and
you're being broken up with for a month.
Yeah. Even 2 months, even the whole year, because she said, let me take some time before I reply.
I can't reply immediately.
Yeah,
She has to process things. Even you have to process things.
Yeah, everything is just immediate.
Talking about that, there's something I hate doing. There's these pages that, like even food, they say you have to order the day before. I never order from those places.
Yeah.
I can't decide today what I want to eat tomorrow. Then I have to wait for it tomorrow.
Yeah.
No. So I totally like.
But like even when I look at it online, like everything.
We're also very indecisive.
Everything is, make money in 5 minutes, be a millionaire tomorrow.
Overnight success.
Yeah, like when you actually look in reality, like
guys preach that all the time, and then you'll see one guy come out and be like, "Guys, you can't use this to make money overnight."
Yeah. But you look at it, like everything good, takes time, and I saw a quote that actually made me understand that is, you don't plant a seed today and then dig it tomorrow and look whether it's grown.
Yeah.
You give it time, and even when I look at the Bible, a lot of good things, took time. I don't know the exact time of period, but for Noah to have built the ark, took quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
Yeah, for Moses to have crossed the Red Sea, took quite some time,
So, like, even think about it, like the prophet, like Prophet Muhammad wasn't a prophet till he was 40. 40.
Yeah.
He wasn't a prophet till he was 40 years old.
Wow.
So he lived 40 years as a normal person.
Yeah. Before he became...
Not to say that he knew he was going to be the prophet. So he was waiting.
Yeah.
But like... Again, there's no timeline to life.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Everybody wants to live life on these timelines. That this one is successful, that one is successful, this one has made it, that one, so I have to do it as well.
Yeah. And even to move away from religion and spirituality, when I look at the thing for impatient is, bro, like, I watched like 2 of the episodes of the Kanye documentary, and I was like, like, this was something that was shot, I don't know, 1990, that, and you could see the guy, he knew what he wanted.
He knew what he wanted, yeah.
You can see him, working to it,
Yeah.
These days, like, I talk to, like, some of my friends because, now we're in that working area, someone's been in a job for, like, a month. They're like, fuck this, I don't like it. I want something else,
Take me somewhere else.
But even when you look at the journey that your parents took to where they are now, like, it's
long.
Even anyone you look at, like, I was seeing Jay-Z in that Kanye, like, even if Jay-Z was big then, the Jay-Z then and the Jay-Z now, are totally...
2 different people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, as we come to the end of this conversation, I usually ask my guests 2 questions. And the first question was, if you were in my shoes or in my seat, per se, what's one thing I didn't ask you, I forgot to ask you, that you'd have asked yourself?
That's a tough question. It's a really tough question.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I feel like we covered a lot.
Yeah.
Covered a few bases. Sorry, I don't know what's got in.
Yeah.
I guess it would... I don't know. I don't think I have one. I think we covered everything.
Yeah. Now to the next question is,
Yeah.
what's the most important lesson you've learned as of now? How was your life before that, and how was
my
your life after it?
Damn. Wow, that's a serious question. That's a very serious question. So I think the most important lesson I learned is no one's going to look out for me the way I'm going to look out for myself.
Yeah.
No one's ever going to have my back the way I have my own back.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's me versus the rest of the world.
Yeah.
As much as I can have friends, I have family, people who love me, people who can be there for me, who would be there for me, but no one's going to have your back 100% of the time.
So how's your life before that, and now how's your life after?
It's a lot of disappointment. It was a lot of disappointment before that because you expect people to be a certain way for you, the way you, per se, would be there for them. But again, at the end of the day, you can't expect people to be there for you all the time. They have they have loyalties to you, but they don't owe you that. They don't owe you that at all. When I learned that people don't owe you anything is when I learned not to keep my expectations too high of people.
That's crazy.
Okay? So I wouldn't expect you to do for me what I'll do for you. Not to say I won't do it for you. I'll do it for you, no problem. But I wouldn't expect you to do the same for me if I was there.
Like, you've actually no cap, bro. Like, it's this I don't know, yesterday, weirdly, when I was in the gym, this the same train of thought, you know, that came to me. And what someone said is, first of all, I'll give you two guys. A lot of us people, unhappiness is when reality does not equal expectation.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but happiness is reality.
It's those memes for expectation versus reality.
Yeah, you get. Yeah. And then another guy, what he said, and I was like, I've never thought of it like this. Yeah. And I think I also had the same problem that you've said is, if you ever do something for someone in the thinking that he'll do it back for you, it stops becoming a sacrifice and it becomes a transaction.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
True.
So there's no way I'll tell you, buy this phone at a discount of 40%, then I ask you to pay full price. Because the 40% is the sacrifice.
Yeah. Okay, no, I'm understanding. I'm understanding like the point you're making.
Yeah.
It's different. It's interesting because who are you willing to sacrifice for and who are you transacting with in life?
Yeah.
Because as a friend, I should be willing. I shouldn't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Okay? As a friend, most of the time, I would be willing to make a sacrifice for you, depending on how close we are as friends. Yeah. I'd be willing to make a sacrifice for you. If we're friends again, life can be transactional. Because I have friends who the bottom line is all they care about. If I do this for you, you have to do something for me.
Yeah.
I'm giving you a favor in return for a favor.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's totally fine. Because you owe me nothing.
Yeah.
Okay? At the same time, who do you expect, if you expect anything from anyone? I'm saying the same thing over and over again.
Yeah,
I'm saying the same thing over and over again. I've caught myself doing that.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But then also what I'll send you also something. It's like the 4 C's of like friendship or relationships or something. I can't remember all of them, but I know there's character.
Yeah.
There's, I think, convenience. So it's an interesting way.
Yeah.
I didn't listen to it fully, but it was a very interesting way.
Yeah.
That someone looked at relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because even for me, sometimes I'm like just as my friend, I thought you'd do 1, 2, 3 for me, and before it used to quietly disappoint me. Nowadays, it doesn't really bother me that much.
Yeah. So I haven't gotten there fully. I won't lie.
Yeah, even me, sometimes I'm like, yo,
why didn't you do
you're
that?
my closest nigga. Why didn't you?
Exactly.
Why didn't you even share the podcast?
Yeah. Like why did you do that for me? Yeah. So even another thing is when you expect things from people who used to owe you things, say a friendship where things used to be a certain way, and then you two fell out, and you expect things to be the same after. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't expect people to do that for you.
Yeah.
when again, everything is perspective and context. If we're not there anymore, you can't expect me to do the things for you I used to do. Say you have like your best friend who could call you in the middle of the night, like 3 a.m. Just to like, because they were going through something, just to talk. Like they couldn't sleep. They call you 3 a.m. Then you two stop being friends for whatever reason, or you stop like whatever. You don't have the right, you don't have the privilege, and you can't call me at 3 a.m. anymore. So don't call me at 3 a.m. anymore.
Makes sense.
Okay?
Yeah.
But
even though they're not my guys, well, I don't mind though. But that's just
you see, no, like what
again,
I'm saying
perspective
is there's that,
certain privileges that go as well.
Exactly. Yeah. So again, expectations. You expect me to be there for you at 3 a.m. because I used to be there for you at 3 a.m. But no.
Yeah.
Not anymore. So yeah.
It's interesting. I don't know if you have anything else you want to say.
Nah, thanks for having me though, man.
Bro, no,
it's been an interesting conversation.
Bro, no.
It's
on
been
God,
an interesting
thank you
conversation.
for coming.
I really hope I feel like I stepped on a few toes.
No, it was your opinion, and for me, it's also opened my mind on how I saw things, and now how I'm seeing things, and like it's good to have a podcast where that I've learned so much.
You've learned more than your guests have learned.
It's
like
more for me. Like I know that I've come out here, learning something. I don't even have to tell them. I hope you've learned something, because if I've learned, I'm hoping that they've learned.
But the same thing for like the one thing I want to say is we need to have that conversation for energy.
Yeah, bro. I'm down. We can set a date and we just book it on our calendars.
Because that's something.
Protect your energy. Yeah, it's
not only protect your energy, just energy in general.
Yeah, I think I need to read a bit more about that. So when I come,
So that would be interesting.
Thank you so much for taking your time to bless the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
And for those of you listening at home, thank you so much for coming in to just vibe with us, join with us, learn something. I know you have definitely learned something, because I've learned so much. And thank you so much. Remember, just to kick it is a blessing. See you next week. Goodbye and God bless you.